Hey ladies and gents, welcome to the new Post Data Pack 6 Ultimate Formation and Tactic in eFootball PES 2021. This formation and tactic isn't just about beating teams, I am literally smashing teams with ease. I put this formation to the test against 3 different teams with 3 different formations. So I started off playing against Arsenal, who are playing a 4-2-3-1 formation, and then we go on to face Burnley, who are playing a defensive 4-4-2, and then we finished off against Liverpool's high press 4-3-3, and all of these matches took place on legend difficulty. The formation I'm using is a 3-5-2, and I'll dive into the tactics a little later on in this video. The main success of this formation is the movement and link up play of the front 3. The attacking midfield position is so important, and he's going to score an absolute hatful, so just make sure he's got some good finishing stats. When you're building from defence, your wide players are an excellent way to move the ball forward and get it into your front 3 players relatively easily, and it's from here where you'll be doing the damage. Even though Arsenal are using an attacking strategy with 1 red bar, just look at the amount of space Pogba has to pick up the ball in an advanced part of the field. He can then look to play 1-2s with the attacking midfielder or the support striker, and then look to play the killer pass. With your defensive midfielder on the right hand side and with him set to defensive, this means that most of your attacks are better coming from the left hand side. So with this formation I have Fred set to defensive, he's my defensive midfielder, so you'll often see me switch from right to left as the right hand side simply lacks support. It doesn't mean you can't build on the right hand side, it just means it's going to be a little bit trickier without that support. Let's just take a look at how this formation fares from a quick counter-attack. You'll notice that the 3 centre-backs drop off a fair bit, but the rest of the team will flood back very quickly to support and eventually winning the ball back from what is normally a difficult situation. The beauty about the defensive line of this formation is that they don't drop back too deep too quickly. Arsenal have a bit of possession here, but we have plenty of men back to defend really well, and they have to resort in a turn and shot. But due to the backline not dropping too deep, as I've just mentioned, they're not going to score past the goalie on legend difficulty from that distance. Arsenal did pull a goal back to make it 2-1, but it was down to poor defending from myself, just not tracking the runner, trying to be too greedy and trying to win the ball back in a dangerous area. We did, however, bounce back quickly though, scoring after some good pressing from the front players as Bruno curls in our 3rd of the match. Just look at how identical this bit of play is, so I spread it wide, and your wingers are going to stretch the opposition, but look at the amount of space Pogba's got once again, and then he feeds into Bruno. Bruno's got tons of space, he can look up and turn, find Cavani, who unfortunately on this occasion is offside. We'll touch on Fred's importance in being set to defensive in a bit, but you can see here how he adds that little extra layer of protection on this occasion, making it much harder for them to play the through ball between my centre backs. And he actually plays a pivotal role here, so watch how he wins the ball back from Aubameyang, who's the furthest Arsenal player forward. Then Bruno Fernandes picks the ball up, and look at Dan James cutting inside from that wing, playing into Bruno Fernandes, once again too much space, and he picks out the corner of the net. Remember how I always moaned about 3 at the back formations struggling to cope with legend difficulty and the consistent crossing into the box and then frequently scoring headers? Well, with the low compactness, this eliminates this, but you have to be wary of the balls being played in between your centre backs. This is where your defensive midfielder comes in handy to cover those openings and intercept where necessary. Here's a prime example of why Fred is set to defensive and how I fill in the gap between the 2 centre backs by just manually dragging him across and sensing the danger of Aubameyang running through. The frontline press with the 2 forward players, wingers and attacking midfielders squeezing the opposition, you can often force them to clear long from deep positions in their own half, just enabling a turnover of possession. This was Arsenal's final attack and last chance they created. As you can see, I didn't have too much trouble brushing them aside, and the only goal they scored was from my poor defending, but I was happy to smash the 4-2-3-1 as it's one of the harder formations to break down this year. Next up is the Burnley 4-4-2 defensive mentality test. I was asked in the past to try different formations against defensive teams to see how it fares, as this is where a lot of players struggle to break these types of teams down, you know, where they got swarmed the box, 11 men behind the ball. But as you can see here, 15 minutes in, Mason Greenwood, edge of the box, smashes it into the goal. And that's just going to be the catalyst of where I'm just going to overwhelm these guys with this formation and tactic. It truly is a really, really special formation and tactic. You have to try this. Honestly, it's absolutely flawless. This clip here is a prime example of why the front three works so well. So here's the support striker on the ball, drawing two players in, plays it into the attacking midfielder, who then plays it into the centre forward. He's waiting for that attacking midfielder to get forward again, and then it's an easy tap in past the goalkeeper. You know, that's making Burnley look really, really average, when if you ever played against Burnley, it's an absolute nightmare 9 times out of 10. It's so hard to like break them down, but with the movement of that front three, it's almost impossible to stop. Here's that front line press once again, forcing Burnley to go long, easily tidied up. Bruno Fernandes, my attacking midfielder, just dropping in deep, plays it into Fred, getting it wide now to Greenwood, who's cutting inside because we've got that central attacking area. He's going to play it to Pogba, and again, just remember, like I said earlier, how most of my attacks come down this left hand side. If I'm on the right hand side, I'll switch it to the left, and there we are, tap in for Cavani. 3-0 to Manchester United. It's too easy. You know, when your midfielders and your attack midfielder pick it up in these positions, here we are, Bruno Fernandes, my attack midfielder. I'm just waiting to draw their player in, play a little 1-2 with Pogba. So easy, getting through, plays it into Cavani. Like, there's nothing difficult about how to play this formation. It really is a piece of cake. And with hug the touchline, you know, you're going to have that width to really stretch your opponent. And it's really useful for, you know, teams against Burnley, for example. And here we are, look at Rashford, acres of space. He's cutting in off that left hand side because of hug the touchline. I no longer need to be worried about attacks in the wide area anymore, as I find my right midfielder and left midfielder drop back deep enough with the deep defensive line to help in those wide areas, and there's no need for the wing back advanced instruction. This attacking clip is a thing of beauty. Pogba will pick up the ball, but it's the movement of the front three that causes so many problems once again. I could have played in Cavani, I could have played in Bruno, but opted for a long shot instead. Just watch how easy this fourth goal comes. Look, I play the ball into Fred, acres of space, spread the ball wide, acres of space. You know, I'm driving the defence, I play it into Martial, little flick, through to Bruno, and I mean, how easy is that? It's so important that you have the advanced instruction defensive on your defensive midfielder, regardless of play style. Fred is box to box, but without it on an anchor or orchestrated play style, you're going to have issues. It's not the best counter-attacking formation, but it's still possible to counter-attack effectively, as you're going to see in this clip here with the partnership between Amad Diallo and Dan James. With possession and short pass, build-up play is generally much slower, but much safer and better in my opinion with the 5 across midfield. As you've seen, I've found it fairly easy to cut teams to shreds, and it's not even been that difficult to do. So we've smashed Arsenal 4-1, we've smashed Burnley 4-0. Let's see what we can do against Liverpool's 4-3-3 next, as we're going to be playing as Manchester City. I ended up playing 2 games against Liverpool because the first game I forgot to set Rodri on defensive, and that's why you see him here alongside De Bruyne, even though he's an anchor man, which just reiterates how important it is to have these players on defensive regardless of play style. I ran out 1-0 winners with a winner from Aguero in the first match, but I wanted to play again with Rodri set as defensive. So here's the goal that I actually scored in the first game. It didn't take long for it to arrive. You know, we're 8 minutes into the game. Beautiful manual through ball into Aguero, finishes top corner, and a great way to get started, but I didn't add to that tally. So I replayed the match, I set Rodri on defensive, and we'll see how the result differs. So the formation is a standard 3-5-2 formation. We've got a defensive midfielder in Fred, Pogba as central midfield, and Bruno Fernandes is our attack midfielder. The other key position is the support striker and centre forward. It's got to be that combination just there that you're seeing. It's important that the defensive midfielder and the support striker are opposite each other, as you're seeing in this example, and because you're going to be building from that side of the field more often than not. So you're sort of overloading almost on one side, and there's, you know, as we saw from most of the goals that I've scored, that's where the threat comes from. So let's dive into the attacking instructions. Possession, obviously we want the ball, the players to come short and support each other. The same for the short pass. Attacking area is central. This is really important because we want to use and maximize the central striker, the support striker, and the attack midfielder. And we also want our wingers to cut in as well. So this is going to help influence that. Maintain formation is really important, and support range 8, because with data pack 6, players can control the ball better, so it doesn't need to be 10. 8 is just about right for this formation, especially with the 5 across midfield. So defensively, it's a frontline press, central containment area, and aggressive pressing. This is just going to help, you know, try and win the ball back higher up the pitch. We've got a high defensive line, but I think the most important aspect of this formation is the one for compactness, and that's to ensure that your centre-backs spread out wide, and this is going to prevent legend difficulty getting it wide early on and then getting crosses in. You're going to be able to get your centre-back out wide and stop that cross coming in, because like I said, with 3 at the back formations, it's a nightmare on legend difficulty, because as soon as they cross the ball, you might as well just give them a goal because it's so hard to defend. So compactness 1 is pretty much the key point here with this formation and tactic, and that's why you've got Fred to cover the gaps that where your centre backs split apart. With Fred being defensive, he can cover those gaps, and you can drag him manually across, as you're going to see in some of the gameplay that I've already pointed out. Advanced instructions: hug the touchline. This is going to keep your width, even though we're attacking through the middle. This is going to keep your Rashford and your Greenwoods wide. This is going to stretch your opponent nicely, and it's always going to be your out ball from defence. And then we've got defensive set to Fred, as we've already touched on already, and then deep defensive line to ensure fast strikers can't get in behind us. And you know, you could say, well, what if I've got faster defenders? I would say keep a deep defensive line, because it just works so well. I don't know what's going on. It's causing some sort of magic. I'm basically smashing teams left, right and centre. So these are the tactics. Don't deviate from them. Stick them on and give it a try yourselves. So during the time I was discussing the tactics, we racked up a 5-1 lead by the 70th minute. Liverpool had their chances too, and the scoreline probably flattered my performance, which wasn't all that great in this match, but the formation and tactics carried me through for sure. Out of the 3 formations I faced, Liverpool's 4-3-3 gegenpress style caused me the most problems from a defensive point of view. We got lucky on occasions, and they could have had probably 3 or 4 more goals themselves, but I could have added to my tally too. This is by far the ultimate formation in my opinion in eFootball PES 2021. It has the defensive solidarity. It's got, you know, it's absolutely incredible going forward with so many options. The wingers to help progress the ball forward against teams who like to sit narrow and deep. It's absolutely smashed the 3 most common formations, and I couldn't be happier with how it's performing in Data Pack 6. I do apologise that it took longer to put together than I expected, but wanted to test it out with a variety of formations. I've since tried it against other formations too with similar results. So that's all from me, ladies and gents. Thank you all for joining me. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll be looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say on the tactic in the comments. But until next time guys, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and look forward to seeing you guys next time. Take care guys, bye bye.